Welcome everybody to our first new series for the year in Fear Equation. Fear Equation is a game brought to us by Screwfly Studios, which is a team responsible for Zafehouse Diaries, which I have covered in the channel in the past, and Deadnaut. If you are familiar with those titles, then you will note plenty of gameplay similarities from both those titles in Fear Equation, yet reworked into a completely fresh experience. Before we go any further, however, I will preface this video by saying to kick back and relax, because there is a lot to cover about Fear Equation before we really start to play it, because the gameplay mechanics are really in-depth, and this is a game that I feel if I don't really give you a bit of background on and just start jumping right in and playing, you will quickly be asking yourself, what is he doing, why is he doing it, and more importantly, what the hell is going on? Alrighty, and we're in game now, so as you could probably note already, this is going to be a complete different type of style from most Screwfly type of games, because there's actually in-game graphics and assets and all sorts of things to that nature, which is something that's really new because Screwfly Studios mostly kind of had a text-based mentality when it came to video games, which is, really endearing in itself. But this over here actually has maneuverability and things that you can actually move around and interact with, which is actually pretty cool. So let's get going over here. First and foremost, let's get out of bed. Let's give you a little bit of background on what's happening over here. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's actually just read one manual, which is going to be the operator's manual. This will give you a pretty good overview as to what's happening over here, and it might do a better job than I would. So let me go into overview. Here's the modifications. You don't really have to worry too much about that, but it'll tell you what each and every single part of the train actually does. We are on a train. You are the conductor. What you're doing in this train, what's happening, well, we'll find out right now. So let's go into overview. Before we really get underway over here, I will kind of note that I'm coming off of a sickness, so I'm still not completely 100%, so if I'm a bit stuffy, hopefully you understand why. I was actually sick towards the end of the year and starting the year itself, so it's been like a really terrible last few days because I've just been sick. Didn't really enjoy the holidays too much, unfortunately, because of that, but I gotta record, I gotta get some new videos up here and running, so hopefully you will understand if there's a bit of coughing and things of that nature happening over here. Overview. No one knows where the fog came from, but we know what it does. It brings our nightmares to life. If you get caught in the fog, even for a few minutes, you'll disappear. Some have figured out a way to survive. You can hear them over the radio, but they don't last long. There's a rumor that the sun shines to the east. If you can rescue enough people, we can start a new life. You've taken control of an XD4 freight train. With a few modifications, it can take passengers and hopefully keep them alive. What is our goal? Reach the destination with as many passengers as possible. You need to revisit locations, search for fuel and supplies, build defenses, upgrade the train, and rescue survivors. Remember, if you don't have any passengers, launch an emergency beacon from the computer. If you run out of fuel, order your passengers to leave the train and find some. Now, the controls will be kind of really basic over here, so I'll skip over those. Phase is going to be really important, so let's talk about the phases in the game over here. You run the train according to a schedule. Each phase in the schedule enables or disables specific options. Lottery. Randomly designate up to 5 passengers who will be selected for scavenging missions. If you don't like who has been chosen, rig the lottery. That's going to be a really important mechanic in the game that we'll talk about later on. Orders. Direct passengers to carry out specific tasks such as building defenses, moving cargo, or upgrading the train. Work phase. Passengers will only carry out their orders during this phase. In addition, scavenging orders are only available in this phase. Guard. Passengers stop working and scavenging missions are no longer possible. The fog may attack during this phase. And then you can press tab at any time to jump over to the next phase, which we're going to be doing a lot of as well. Now, what is this fog that we're talking about over here? The fog is ever present. If you've not visited a sector, the fog will be relatively light. The longer you stay, the more the fog will thicken. Further, the fog will respond to activity. If you conduct a scavenging run in a location or launch an emergency mission, the fog will become very dense. You can mitigate this by turning the engine off while stationary, but you'll only have a few minutes before your battery runs out. The general rule is to get in and out as fast as possible, avoid backtracking, only visit locations you really need to, and don't delay. Now, the fog is also accompanied by nightmares, which is the way they kind of really attack other than making people disappear. Nightmares. During the evening, the fog may attack. When this happens, the fog will select one fear that the passengers have dreamt about recently. The attack will occur in any carriage that has recently dreamt about that fear. The severity of the attack is influenced by the density of the fog and the proportion of dreams that relate to the attacking fear. The fog will never attack you, nor will it ever breach the cabin. Passengers. Each passenger is different. Not only do they have different attributes and skills, but they also have different opinions about the cause and nature of the fog. Passengers will cluster into 4 factions and elect leaders. This leader can then express their concerns, which influences how they feel about you. And here's where the micromanaging comes into play. One of your most important resources in this game, other than fuel, is going to be people. You want to have people because you need them to actually go out there, find more food, find more fuel, build defenses, upgrades, etc., etc. So you kind of have to really manage how you're doing over here because they can actually revolt against you, and they can also become fanatics as well, which is no good. Let's read about this here a little bit. If a leader's concerns becomes too high, they may revolt against you. When this happens, they move from the rear of the train towards the front, trying to gain many followers as they go. And as they reach your cabin, they will break down the door and toss you into the fog, ending the game. Conversely, if a leader is very happy with you, they will become a supporter and will defend you if a revolt occurs. However, too many supporters may conduct a purge, murdering those who do not support you. Do not let your passengers become too fanatical. So it's kind of like in your best interest to kind of keep this a little bit as a neutral type of stance, you know? Do good enough so that they don't become fanatics and start killing anybody who opposes you, but at the same time do well enough so that they don't actually come over here and revolt you and kick you out of the train and game over. So it's really, really interesting in terms of how that's going to work out here for us. So that's going to kind of give us the background of the game itself. Now, first thing you want to do over here is get some people. You're basically starting off over here with point A, which is going to be right over here. This little purple flag with the tanks over here that you might be able to see, that indicates the military. We'll talk about them here pretty soon. But that's the military right here, and we have a location here and here. Now, if we come up here to this one, we're going to have to backtrack back, and backtracking is no good in this game. Again, we're getting a little bit ahead over here, but I just wanted to see how our map is looking. And here's our destination, assuming this is where paradise or salvation might be. We're not sure about that. I've never made it there myself, so it's a really hard game, let me tell you right now. So I'm not sure if we're going to make it over there or not, but that's going to be our goal here for now. And as you can see, there's more manuals over here to read. The game is filled with manuals for you to kind of read, and again, it's really, really in-depth, but I'm trying to streamline it here a little bit, otherwise we'll basically take 2 episodes just reading nothing but manuals over here. So the first thing we want to do right now is actually get some people in our train because we have nobody. So we want to go into launch a beacon over here. You sure about the signal beacon? Yes. Alrighty. Now this is going to be completely random. You can get up to like 5 people initially, maybe even more. I hope we get enough people, and I hope they bring some items along with them to kind of help us out with our journey over here. It's not guaranteed though, so let's see what happens. Okay, we're done here? Good. Alright, this is actually pretty good. The beacon attracted 5 survivors: Bobby Miller, Stephen Edwards, Joshua Wright, Jack Campbell, and Jose Price. And they brought along with them a food container, which is great, it's more food for us, and a crowbar, which is going to help us out with our scavenging missions themselves. This is a really good startup point. I'm quite excited about this. Alrighty. So this is the people that we found right now. So right off the bat, we have 5 people to worry about. Let's go into our carriage controls. You can see over here it says passengers 5 and carriage number 1. You can fill up to 10 carriages with people, mind you. So there's going to be a lot of micromanaging involved with this game later on, assuming you decide to build your train up to be a really, really big utopia for people to get to the salvation point. And again, there's another manual over here as well, and this will give you an idea exactly how much in this game is there. This one kind of talks about the lottery and all the things you can do in the notebook, but I will kind of try to streamline this here a little bit. So, let's start off by finding out who we have here in carriage number 1. We have 5 people, and they've already kind of broken up into like weird little factions. So right now, the factions over here will tell you who believes in what. This right here is going to be the natural order of things. So people believe the fog is happening for a reason over here. This is going to be supernatural. People believe this is happening because it's something that we really can't fathom. So it's maybe like a divine will of God or something like that. This over here is going to indicate people who believe that we could use the fog for some other type of alternative, and people over here are just kind of complacent with the fact that it's happening for a reason, and the good will basically arise and the bad will basically demise. So it's going to be breaking off into 4 little factions over here who believe more about certain things. So keep in mind about this, because sometimes factions will indeed go into war with each other, and it's kind of up to you how you mitigate that warring in terms of happening. So right now, even though we really are going to do no scavenging because we have to get to a location first, I will set up the... Actually, no. Before we go into the lottery, let's talk about the dream logs over here. Now, whenever the fog does attack, they will be attacking your train through nightmares. As we mentioned, they will go after a carriage with dreams that people have had recently to kind of affect them. Now, when they attack, it's not going to be game over initially. They'll basically injure your people. Eventually, they will kill them. They will drive them insane. A lot of different things could actually happen, but it's up to you to kind of mitigate that by building the proper defenses as well. Unfortunately for us, that we have 3 different type of dreams happening right now, so we have more of a bigger pool of things to guard against right now. But the biggest concern is going to be pods. Not sure what those are about. Let's read about them here a little bit. So on the 30th of December, Bobby Miller had a dream. I have a dream. No, but really. I was playing. My grandfather. I see something pulsing, looks like a large seed. I'm scratching, bleeding. I see them moving. Someone's here, waving fire. Jose Price. There were others. I was at a restaurant. I think I see nuns. They were our soul. We turned on them. There's a bright light. They walked towards it. Bobby Miller had another dream. I wasn't alone. We were at a restaurant. I see something pulsing. Looks like a large seed. They're opening. All of them at once. Get them all. Don't let any escape. This guy's having like alien dreams or something. It's kind of crazy. And January 1st, Bobby Miller had another dream again. Come on, Bobby. You're fucking with my shit over here. I was eating with the family. I trip over. Some kind of pod. They're opening. All of them at once. Someone's here, waving fire. Bobby Miller again on the 2nd. I was sorting books, soaked. Everything's soggy. Nothing works anymore. Someone pulled a lever, opened a drain. Okay. So Bobby over here is kind of giving us pod defenses and drowning defenses, and then we also have Jose Price dreaming about sisters or something, right? Nuns, I guess, would probably be the more ideal one. So, right now, as you can see, our defense analysis is at 0.0. So if we get attacked by any of these things, we're basically kind of boned because we have no defenses for them. Luckily, it's not going to happen just yet, but it's something we definitely want to start keeping mind about. So let's get on out of here. And we can start protecting against that right now, which we'll probably do. But first and foremost is going to the lottery itself. Now here is where we're going to be rigging. Well, not really rigging, but whenever you want to send people out to scavenge for items at a location, you will do a lottery. This kind of works a little bit like the Hunger Games in a sense, right? That the winner of the lottery has to go out and risk their life to bring back items for the rest of the people. So it's very Hunger Game-ish in that sense. And you could also rig this. So assuming I do an autofill, and assuming I had more people right now as well, and I didn't like who showed up, I could just remove somebody. Get out of here, Joshua Wright. And then put somebody else in their place that I kind of want to use. But since we only have 5 people right now, and we're not going out at the moment anyway, so we'll just do an autofill, not a really big deal. Dispatched out, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be more important once we go out scavenging, but right now we're not going to do that because we're not at a location at the moment. So once this is over here set up, we have a few new options available to us. We can move passengers from one carriage to another, so we can start populating the other carriages as well. And this is going to be kind of useful to kind of keep people from warring with each other and they're in the same carriage, or to keep like different type of leaders and factions in a carriage so they don't fight with the other ones, and a lot of different other things that we'll probably cover at some point. But for now, since we're barely starting off, no need to move anybody around. Over here we can move and dump cargo. Don't really want to do that at the moment. We're actually quite low on cargo at the moment. Here's where you can upgrade your train. And you can actually do this so our engine will actually go to fuel capacity 1, meaning instead of carrying up to 10 fuel, we could go up to 11, 12, 13, etc. as the upgrades go upwards. You can do the same with power, radio, medical, and structures as well. We're not going to do that just yet, but it's something to keep in mind. Right now, because our boy over there is having nightmares about pods, we probably want to start getting that defense up and running for pods over here. So at the moment, we only have 3 scrap to really reinforce our train, so we're going to definitely want to find more of these because 3 will not cut it for our defenses right now, but it's the only thing we have, so let's go ahead and set up defenses for pod dreams over here, and we will start building that right now. Okay. As you can see, our items have now been used up, and they will slowly be built over time. So right now we're at progress of 50%, or 0.50 I should say. As the game progresses, they will kind of get those up and running, and depending on their skills and the type of faction they decide to build into, they'll get bonuses, and they'll either build them faster, slower, so on and so forth. So right now we're done with this portion over here. We're to set up our orders. Over here, we could do is actually keep an eye out, or an ear out I should say, for transmissions that come in. The transmissions will be random and they'll tell you about more survivors at a location, resources at a location, so on and so forth. So if you missed this by any chance, like if you're sleeping, whenever you wake up the next day you can come over here into the comms log and find out the type of entries that you probably missed. So definitely keep an eye on this at all times as well to kind of give you an idea if there's any sort of attack or a big fog influence somewhere, military, which we saw but we haven't talked about just yet. Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about the military over here a little bit. Now, the fog is going to be your main, I guess, antagonist in this game, but there's also 2 other different ones involved, which is going to be the military and the fearless. The military is going to be the remnants of the government of the society. and they're basically in take no prisoners mode now. They will destroy anything out there, so they will attack you, and unfortunately for us, they're kind of like right in our train tracks over here, so more than likely we'll probably want to either go straight over here and avoid coming down this way, because they will destroy us quite easily, as a matter of fact. And there's also the Fearless. The Fearless, they're not noted on the train right now, on the map anyway, but they're going to be a group of people that are not affected by the fog, and they've basically come to accept the fog as a type of will of God, in a sense, almost like the faction that we talked about. But these people are basically out trying to purge everybody out that's still alive, because they feel that they are now entitled to the world itself. The military and the Fearless will actually clash with each other, and they will come after you as well. So if you see them clashing, avoid them altogether, let them wipe each other out, and you just go around. So 2 other antagonists you have to keep an eye out as well in this game, other than the fog itself. So right now we're starting off over here. You could actually control the train yourself manually if you want to. I think it's a lot easier if you just do it automatically, though, because you don't have to really sit over here the entire time. It takes a while to do it otherwise. Our battery is completely filled up, which is good. We're stationary right now, so our speed is at 0, engine at 0, brakes set up. We want to set up a location for our first very location we want to go towards, I guess. So right now we're over here. I think the first one obviously should be right here. And what's cool about this one is that we could even jump up here. However, we jump up here, we have to backtrack. It's not too big of a backtrack, but it could actually cause a bit of an issue for us. But I think we might be able to pull it off. I think we go up here, we backtrack, and then we basically just go down this way and avoid the military completely. Again, these are just basically plans that I have in my head, but they might not really work out that way. But definitely want to come over here initially, which is a good spot because we have a place we could actually look for items and resources really early on, which is really great. This is a pretty good layout for a map to start off with. So over here, we're going to be finding restaurants, supermarkets, offices, and banks. So we should be able to find some pretty good resources over here. No gas stations, so we might not find any fuel. Now, we have 3 different options that we could choose over here. We could go to allocation slow, meaning we'll burn a small amount of fuel. Medium will be obviously in the middle, and then fast to get there as fast as possible. You will also burn a lot more fuel. However, because the location is so close to us, as you can see over here, we have slow, costing us 1 fuel, medium, 2 fuel, fast, 2 fuel. So slow is saying we'll get there January 6th at 6 a.m. Medium is saying 2 p.m., 5 January, and then 5 January, 6 a.m. on fast. The time you get to a location is going to be really important, because if you get there when it's too late, you're not going to be able to scavenge right there, meaning you have to stay there overnight, and the fog will definitely creep in on you. So you definitely want to pay attention to time that you're arriving. You want to get there at a time that you can actually still initiate orders and send people out to scavenge. So keep that in mind. Really, really important mechanic that I think is going to be easily missed if you don't really pay too much attention to it. So obviously we want to get there fast, so it's going to cost us 1 extra fuel from slow, and we'll get there 1 day and a few hours earlier. So let's go ahead and plot our route right now. As you can see, the train itself will actually start doing its thing. You can brake whenever you want to as well, and change the speed, so on and so forth. So right now, for the most part, I think we're done. We have everything set up right now. As you can see, now that we're moving, we can see the view of it over here. Fog all around us. Not really the attacking type of fog, but definitely a really oppressive type of bleak setting for the game. It's a really, really fun game. We have only barely scratched the surface of it right now, because we haven't even covered about the whole scavenging part of the game, which is going to be really, really important. That's where you kind of go into more of an RTS type of game system mechanic over here. But right now, we're not going to do that because we need to get to a location first and foremost. So, for now, we're going to come over here and basically just skip over to the guard portion of the night. Well, actually, we'll do the work. So let's hit tab. These people will work. Oh! Transmissions. Okay, hold up. Hold up. So this is actually pretty cool. We were awake when this actually happened. So this will tell you, hey, transmission's happening over here. So we can come over here into the help one now. And we have 3 different transmissions happening. So over here we have, if anyone's listening, there are many survivors still alive in the bank. At Sharpsburg, 3-9. I think that's where we're going, but we'll find out. 3-9, Sharpsburg. If anyone's listening, there are many survivors still alive at the hospital at 511. And if anyone's listening, there are many survivors still alive at the clothing store at Gum Branch, 37. So we have what? 3-9, 3-7, and 511. Okay. 3-9, 3-7, 5-11. So here we go. 5-11. This is where a lot of people are located at, apparently. 5-11. And then we have 3-9. Oh, look at that. We're actually going to 3.9 and 3.7 eventually, so where these transmissions came from is where we're kind of headed right now, so we will definitely be able to find some more survivors to add to our group over here, which should be ideal. Perfect. Alrighty, so, let's see. We're in a guard phase right now, so everybody stop working. Let's find out the progress that we made over here on our defenses. So as you can see, with 5 people over here working for the most part, we have completed around 68.10% of the first reinforcement in terms of the pod defense. And we also have a leader. Jose Price is going to be the mechanic leader of this faction over here, and then we'll see if other people assign themselves over here. But right now, Jose Price's faction is going to be the dominant faction at the moment because they have 2 other followers, and then we have Bobby Miller and Stephen Edwards kind of doing their own thing over here. Alrighty, great. Pretty good start so far. I think it's going to be a really good point to actually wrap it up here for today. Let's go into night portion and sleep this off, and we will wake up here into day number 2 of our little series here. But more importantly, we'll see what day we are in the game itself. Alrighty guys, and there we go. So right now we're going to wrap it up here for this first episode. Leave a thumbs up, leave a like. The support really does mean a lot, especially for the start of a new series. Again, there's a lot more to still come. This is a really slow episode, I do understand that, but I had to kind of really break down everything in step-by-step type of basis, because if I just start doing all this, you'll probably be like, what the hell are you doing? Why is it happening? So, I do apologize for the slower episode, but it's definitely really needed for this type of game. The next thing we'll cover is going to be the RTS mechanic once we start going into locations, scavenging for items, setting up orders, and things of that nature. But that'll probably be done next episode. I do believe we'll probably be at the location next time around. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Leave a thumbs up. I will catch you next time.